Okay, so to start, Ultraman Victory's head is weird. I can respect what the designers are going for here, giving him a big V that stands for victory, but it just looks like he's got a weird salsa bowl fused to the top of his head or something. There are a few reasons for why it doesn't really drag down the rest of the suit design for me though. First off, how amazing the coloration is. I love this red and black color combo. Additionally, he's got glowing translucent yellow V's throughout the body, just like the one on his head. And sometimes those yellow V's just glow, and that's kind of awesome. It's a very strange design idea that was executed very well. Next up is 1/2 of Rube, 1/3 of Groob, Ultraman Blue. I really love the simplistic armored design. The black and silver undersuit would be pretty cool by itself, but they've given it a plain coloration so that we can add armor pieces on top that really pop. I love its usage on the head too by creating this big blue horn with more simplistic water details. It just looks really cool, but also does a great job of tying together all the detailing on this really unique suit. Sorta unique suit. Ultraman looks cool. I think it's awesome that he's essentially just one undersuit, but he doesn't feel simplistic at all because of how complex his patterns are. It prioritizes black and blue, and they contrast very nicely with each other and the main silver, which makes these little red bits stand out so much, almost like they're glowing. My favorite parts of the suit would have to be these unique touches, like this sparkly eyes, and the color timer, which is a freaking Z on his chest, because his name is Ultraman Z or Z, and that's just badass as hell. It's just a big letter. Continuing this pattern of simplistic blue Ultramen that look really cool for some reason is Fuma. I don't really know what else to say here that won't sound repetitive because Fuma's design isn't entirely that unique, it just looks nice. I guess I like the sparing use of black as little stripes that add some depth to this armor. There's this motif of light blue coloration in between these raised stripes, and it gives off a dimension to the parts of the suit. Also, he's a ninja. Sadly, it's not really incorporated into the design at all, but ninjas are cool, and maybe that has affected my opinion of this suit. Bringing us into the top 10 is the new kid on the block, new generation Triga. Everything I said about Triga before carries over here because it's better, obviously, mainly due to the gold on this guy. Now there's been gold added to the forearms, to the legs, even to the head, and it successfully gives Trigger an awesome, sleek look. But now it has this mechanical cross-hatching pattern, and it adds this layer of complexity. However, it still keeps that simplistic aesthetic that worked so well for the original Triga. And I can't wait to watch more of Trigger as episode 1 just came out, and you can go watch my review of it right now. You should go do that. Taro's another classic but very epic design. The horns are obviously his most unique feature, and I think it's great how they have this defining presence to where they're arguably his trademark, but they aren't super over the top and wonky looking. It just gives him an intimidating silhouette that is further enhanced with these little studs on his head, but I really like that it's added to his chest color piece, so it's not just a plain silver thing on his chest. They have a little bit of dimension and detail to them, and it continues to give Taro this menacing look. The last part of Taro I really like is how this collar piece sort of connects to the silver pattern, which does a great job of breaking up all the red. So despite its age, despite its simplicity, this is just a very well put together suit. Now it's time for the final entry in that big Ultraman trio or whatever. I really love the big black and gold stripe that surrounds the color timer on the chest. It's an extremely simple design choice, but it really stands out. With how simple the design on the rest of the body is, it directs all your attention to his chest and sort of gives Gaia this beautiful black, red, and gold color scheme, even though black and gold is really only present on the chest. Actually, there is some gold on the head, and it's used in some slightly pressed down areas, so the gold has this bit of dimension and kind of replicates the black and gold pattern on the chest. The chest is definitely just the best part of this suit design. It's awesome, and it just grabs your attention and holds onto it. I've talked a few times about how some suits have a cybernetic design, and no suit accomplishes this better than Ultraman X because, like, that's the whole point of his suit. The undersuit is very clearly designed to invoke a mechanical effect with this metallic gray color used instead of a black like the other suits, and in some cases they're raised detailing to add this armored effect. The red follows that straight edge motif and looks fantastic with the gray, especially on the chest piece. I just love how it looks with the layers of silver, gray, and red contrasting beautifully together, adding this interesting layered dimension aspect to his chest, and you've just got a big ol' X color timer, and it adds to this wonderful assortment of colors. Even the head has got some complexity, with the sides creating glowy cybernetic bits, some red horns that you don't really see ever, and it looks like he's wearing headphones. So now we're going to go from a crazy complex design to a pretty simplistic design. Genga's red and silver pattern is pretty great, but let's just cut to the chase. The blue is beautiful. It's a perfect baby blue translucent color that stands out so well next to the red and silver in an almost crystalline fashion. It's a great accent on the arms and legs, but definitely looks best on the chest, hee rhyme, and on the head. It makes Genga so unique with this big glowing head crest that gives the suit so much personality. And in some cases, it's not almost glowing, it is glowing. And when the stuff is glowing, that makes this beautifully unique suit 10 times better because, well, glowing stuff is pretty. Starting off the top 5 is the other half of Rube and the remaining third of Groob for this list, Ultraman Rosso. Pretty much everything I liked about blue carries over here, except I prefer red to blue, fire detailing to water detailing, and Rosso has some bronze detailing that really pops as well. So in that case, I really love the simplistic armored design. The black and silver undersuit would be pretty cool by itself, but they've given it a plain coloration so that we can add armor pieces on top that really pop. I love its usage on the head too by creating this big set of red horns with more simplistic fiery details. It just looks really cool, but also does a great job of tying together all the detailing on this really unique suit, unless you compare it to blue. I gotta rank these as separate suits, but they definitely look great together. So the biggest draw of Ultraman Gede's suit is obviously the big Belial eyes. For the hero Ultra characters, it's definitely one of the most unique head designs for them, definitely the most unique eye design. It makes Gede look really menacing and badass and gives him this edge, I guess. The body really adds to this with the black and red exclusively creating big jagged shapes, almost looking like a strange burst of energy or an explosion that's just kind of been pressed onto this suit design, and it looks absolutely stunning. It's definitely my favorite part of this suit. Despite that, Gede still manages to feel like a hero thanks to the eyes being more rounded compared to his dad, so I'd say that this form is pretty much a masterclass in making a pretty menacing fighter for justice. Starting off the top 3 is the suit of Ultraman Mebius. Upon first glance, it isn't really the most unique or different Ultraman suit, but I really like it. I love the blending of the red and silver. They have this wonderful balance so that the suit never feels like it has too much silver or too much red, just the right amount of each, and there are so many little design aspects that help with this. He's one of the few Ultras with colored hands despite having a silver body. There are red stripes that flow from the arms to the body to the legs that give a sense of completeness, and the head even has some red highlights to help it stand out. And it also has this really cool flared horn design. I think it's great how the color timer is recessed in Mebius's chest as opposed to being an attachment, and it helps with the general flow of the aesthetic. My favorite part of the suit though would have to be the little gold accents. There's not a lot of them, but there's just enough so that my attraction to the red and gold color scheme kicks in and makes Mebius look really, really cool. Cool enough that he's in the number 3 spot. In second place is the base form, but also the final form of Ultraman Orb. So on one hand, I really love how this form looks. The big black chunk in the middle sort of looks like pants, which is kind of funny, but it's practically the only bit of black on the suit, which allows the red to really stand out, something I'm very happy about. It looks great on the upper body by flowing from the chest to the arms with some spots open to let the silver shine through, and there's even some black to give a few accents. I also also love Orb's color timer. The big old ring is awesome, and I love how not only it ties into the transformation device, but also the head, since the stripe on the front is also the same color as the color timer. The suit alone looks good, but what I really love about Orb Origin is everything surrounding it. I love what the suit represents within the story of Orb, how multiple times it has to be earned by the character, and how it's the base form of Orb as a character, but within the show it functions as a final form. I'm also in love with the Orb Caliber. It's just an amazing weapon, and all of it is just so cool to me and really heightens my enjoyment of this suit. Now that may seem like cheating since it doesn't really have anything to do with the suit's visuals, and I've basically been exclusively ranking the suits up to this point, so I decided it can fit right at the number 2 spot as a form I really love instead of being all the way at the top. The Orb Caliber is also really amazing. I love the Orb Caliber. Coming in at first place as my favorite base form Ultraman suit is Ultraman Max. Remember what I just brought up about red and gold color schemes with Mebius? So Max's color scheme is basically red and gold, and that's why it's at the top. He looks beautiful. I love how the red and gold is incorporated into this suit. The red is used as the base design so that it just looks really nice, and it contrasts well with the silver armor pieces, and then those have all these little raised line details that are picked out in gold. By doing that, the gold stands out even more and just makes Max look even better. The chest looks sort of like a group of wings, with its center being the color timer, and that works really well for how important the color timer is. I just like how it looks. The detailing motif carries onto the head. Sadly, nothing's picked out in gold, but I think there's still some awesome stuff going on with the fin. It's filled with a bunch of etched detailing and makes Max's head look super mechanical, and it still fits perfectly with the other edge detailing on the armor. Even though I know literally nothing about Ultraman Max, his suit is just a beautiful blend of colors with the red and gold, details with all the armor on the head, and also simplicity with his undersuit. And it's my favorite Ultraman base form design for those reasons. Maybe I should go and watch Max now. If you enjoyed my ranking of these Ultraman base forms, be sure to check out my recent review of Ultraman Trigger's first episode, and consider becoming a patron to be able to watch my upcoming reviews on Ultraman Orb and Zet early. And for more tokusatsu content in general, consider subscribing to this channel, and I hope to see you next time.